Hey everyone, this is Alex Milstein. I'm the editor-in-chief of Betting News Now, and this is Bet Ed Now, bite-sized bits of betting industry knowledge. Today my guest is Chris Taheney. He's the Vice President of Business Development at Cariloha, and we're going to be talking about attachment rates, KPIs, and other important things that retailers should be keeping in mind in times of low foot traffic. Hey everyone, today I'm happy to welcome Chris Taheny, the Vice President of Business Development at Cariloha, onto the show. He's going to be talking about a really interesting subject, which is what kind of KPIs and sales measurements retailers are actually dealing with today and which ones they should be measuring that they might not be. So, welcome to the show, Chris.
Alex, thanks for having me on. It's always great to be on with you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm glad we finally got to catch up. I know we were playing phone tag for a little bit, but that's just how it goes sometimes, right?
When it comes to you, better late than never, my friend. Ready to do this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I'd love to talk about, some of the things that you've seen out in the field, specifically referring to retailers and the kind of things that they're measuring in their stores in regard to sales and KPIs. So, in your opinion, what are most mattress retailers actually measuring today versus what should they be measuring?
Sure, I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, I've got a little bit of a story to share with you. I
Okay.
was on a call recently, which consisted mainly of store owners and operators. And somebody made a very interesting remark that resonated immediately. And then I looked into it a little bit more. And that was it was at the end of football season. And somebody equated to sheets, mattress protectors, and pillows as being the extra points after that mattress sale in the form of a touchdown, so to speak, had been scored. So that was his way of conveying how important sheets, protectors, and pillows were. It's that extra point after
Mhm.
you've made the touchdown, so to speak. So I dug into that a little bit deeper, Alex. Now I got a trivia question for you. Over the last 50 years of NFL seasons, how many times has the kicker led the league in scoring?
Whew, that is a question.
I'll save
Random
you the
guess.
trouble. Go ahead and ram to guess. Yeah, let's see how that. Let's
25.
25. Okay, thanks for playing today. It was 42.
Ah, okay, I wasn't too far.
84% of the last 50 NFL seasons have been led in scoring by a kicker. So now we're talking about this being very, very relevant when it comes to these categories. I mean, of course, nobody gets into business to open a mattress store to sell sheets, protectors, and pillows. They obviously get into the business of selling mattresses. But the importance of these categories is, I mean, it was important the entire time. But today we're living in a world where we just have to resign ourselves that they're imperative. It's no longer a side hustle in our business. It is something that is just as important as the mattress sale itself for a lot of different reasons. Now, to answer your question, retailers have gotten better over the years. I've been in the business long enough, particularly in these categories, to have seen that there wasn't a real strong degree of urgency, say 12 years ago. And what you would typically hear from store managers is, you know what, my leadership, as long as I'm hitting my top line number, they pretty much leave me alone. As long as I'm getting that top line number, they really don't dwell on my attachment rates on sheets, protectors, and pillows. So it's not really a thing for me. But then fast forward the clock a couple of years later, then you had this massive destruction in the form of bed in a box companies
Mhm.
that were systematically just taking foot traffic away from brick and mortar retail. And then it became, what do we do? What do I do when my foot traffic is down? At those times, we were hearing anywhere from maybe 10, 15. Some dealers were struggling a little bit more in metro areas, saying 20%. What do I do to fight back? Well, they decided, okay, yes, maybe it is time after all for me to focus on these categories. And you saw a little bit of improvements. Then you have COVID come along only a couple of years later, and then we didn't know where we were going to be. It turned out to be a blessing because business was outstanding during those times, morbidly enough. But unfortunately, during those times, you had just turn it and burn it, service all the demand that we have. Maybe you had rules and regulations in your community where you couldn't have customers physically in your store and you had to cut your presentation a little bit. Then what happened after COVID is the bottom completely dropped out and we're seeing foot traffic diminish more than we've ever seen it. And now retailers are like, okay, I need to make the most of all my opportunities once and for all. We've said that many times over the years, but now it's real. Now we've got to face it. Now I've got to lean into this a little bit more, but there's still more ways to go. That's what we're talking about today. How does a dealer get these categories to stand truly on their own, where they know that they're truly maximizing their opportunity? They're not focusing on that top line so much. They've got a vehicle that will help them gauge the sales aggressiveness of their staff and make sure that what they're investing in their business is coming in the most profitable fashion. Now I will take a breath.
Yeah, I mean, so many things that you said are so true. The accessory category, for lack of a better word, it really is one, you and I have talked about this a lot. It really has so much opportunity that I don't think retailers quite have grasped it yet. Some of them definitely have. You can tell when a retailer has really found out how to do it. And I'm sure you know this very well from being on the road all the time and seeing these retailers. And so you have kind of I guess I'm going to mention it now. So you have kind of a proprietary formula that you use. And, without giving away anything about it, can you tell us what it measures and how retailers have been using it?
I'd be glad to. There are retailers that use it to a degree of success, and it's not a hypothetical. It works. A lot of dealers are now starting to I'm hearing more commonly today than I've ever had, Alex, where the dealer is saying, yes, we are tracking these now. And then when I ask how they're tracking these categories, it generally comes down to attachment rate. And that's the only thing that they're tracking. And don't get me wrong, tracking attachment rate is part of this madness, the method of the madness, I should say. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. Where attachment rate succeeds is it tells a dealer, well, assures a dealer that their team is at least talking about a category. It's not being overlooked. It's not being forgotten about. There's a degree of aggressiveness behind it. They're letting their customers know that they could help them in this area. But what it's not doing is telling the full story from a revenue capture standpoint. And over the course of time, especially when I was a field servicer, I would hear very regularly a store manager say, you know what? You don't need to train me. I'm good to go on mattress protectors, for example. I never sell a bed without one. Every mattress that gets on that delivery truck going to my clients, they always have a mattress protector attached to it. Then lo and behold, when that report is run and you see the revenue is either zero or close to zero. At the end of the day, Alex, your attachment rate, to get a high attachment rate, it's very easy to do if you're giving it away or if you're discounting the product. Okay. So what can we do to make sure that that element is kept honest? Because there's a couple of important things to remember. Customer acquisition cost is a real variable. Some customers tell me it's as low as $50. I've had some customers tell me it's as high as $200. So when you know that money is coming off your profitability right then and there, you want to gauge more than that attach rate, particularly if it's being done from a non-revenue or a very low revenue standpoint. Not only that, let's say you have somebody bringing in $1,000 worth of category dollars and their attachment rate was 20%, as opposed to the person that had that 100% attachment rate but brought in $0. Who are you going to congratulate for helping your business be more profitable? What would you do? I put you on the spot here. Okay, you're a business owner. Okay, you own a mattress store, and a member of your team brought in 1,000 category dollars, irrespective of what their attachment rate was.
Okay.
And then somebody else had 100% attachment rate, but brought you in $0. Who are you going to give congratulations to?
The first person.
That's a good answer, because that's how it is right now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I commonly see. This person is outstanding in the category. They're bringing it up and they're putting it on tickets at a very high velocity, but that revenue is that check and balance system. Okay. Now it's okay as part of this formula. Sometimes you'll see somebody with a lower attachment rate, but has a higher monetary variable. They're helping the business as well. So what I've been very proud to do over the last, several years of my career is help retailers understand that they could dive deeper into these categories. They could formulate these two different variables that are very important when running a business. And they could get down to having a very simple way to evaluate the performance of their teams, where regardless of where they're ending up, regardless of their attachment rates, or regardless of what their monetary gain is, they still can be offsetting one or the other as that check and balance system and truly help that retailer be more profitable in these categories. This is getting to be more and more important as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Can you explain a little bit how managing the attachment rate and revenue together changed the bigger financial picture for the store?
Absolutely. So, and again, back to the simplicity of this being done, and what I would encourage everybody watching here is your software may have the ability to do this for you already. If it doesn't, it's worth a phone call to your provider to see if they can build these tables for you. And if they can't build the tables, it's absolutely worth giving the meeting to a software company that can do it. Something where you can interfuse these very important variables into one simple statistic where at a glance, the leader of a business, whether it's an owner or an operator, a district manager, an area manager, a store manager, you can do this from a global standpoint all the way down to an individual RSA, how somebody is performing in a category. And when you dive deeper into it, you can also formulated to translate that information into how many dollars are either A, being left on the table and lost revenue opportunity, or how much of a surplus that salesperson is bringing in. Because here's the thing, when you've got that system that enables you to track these categories like this, you have a median line. And then you can look at it from the standpoint. I want to assure any RSAs that are watching today, this is not an over aggressive accountability measure. This is inspiration, and this is striving to do better. And when you have that median line that nobody wants to be below, and they certainly don't want to be at the bottom of the list, you have inspiration, and you have that person that's now becoming more of a servant leader in their role and wanting to take better care of their customer. Okay. Because anybody above that line, they're bringing a surplus revenue. So Alex, the store owner, he can now go to the person above that line and say, thank you very much. I really appreciate you focusing on these categories. It's bringing us better reviews. It's definitely getting us happier customers. And you're helping to offset the revenue that's being lost by your teammates that we really want to cultivate, and we want to help and nurture them and train them and inspire them to be better themselves. And you're just the kind of person to help us do that. Will you be willing to help us do that? These are the types of conversations that you could have that add excitement to one's tenure. It's not the same bland, unlock the store, sit there for 9-10 hours a day, and then lock it again. This is something that could be very energetic. It's something that could create a lot of excitement, maybe some friendly competition. And the key to your business owners, it is so easy to do. If I were to explain it in detail, which we won't for the sake of time on Alex's show today, it might sound a little complex, but it is simple as pie. And I'd be happy to help anybody understand it better. All they have to do is reach out to me. I'm a very easy guy to find.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, Chris. Well, kind of wrap things up. I think one of the most important things about what you're talking about today is, with these attachment rates and these bedding accessories, is that these are already things that retailers have and they're going to be carrying. So why not make more money off of them? Why not take a closer look, especially when store traffic is down right now, like you were mentioning? It's such a smart thing to do for a business right now, is to evaluate where they are and their KPIs and their attachment rates and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think, what you're saying is important because they have it and it's free for now, free. Because they don't have to look for a new category to bring in, they have it. So yeah, so I really like everything that you said. And if anybody is interested in talking to Chris about the formula, you can reach out to him at chris@cariloha.com. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Chris.
Thank you, Alex. And if I can close with just one thing, just to reinforce your point. Okay?
Yeah.
If anybody needs any inspiration to look at this a little bit more deeply, just think of Mrs. Customer that's in the cul-de-sac right behind your store. Okay. She is running out of places to buy these categories anyway. So that she's always going to need a mattress. That sleep is one of the pillars of her life. But she's running out of places to shop because a lot of big boxes no longer exist. I think the last time I calculated them up since 2018, in excess of 10,000 nationwide have closed. But she doesn't want to change the way that she shops. She still wants to touch. She still wants to feel. She still wants that experience. Let that be your inspiration to dive deeper into these categories. And you're in a great industry with some of the most awesome people in the world that are willing to help you do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, man. All right. Well, on that note,
thank you, Alex.
Thanks again,
Always good
Chris.
to be with you, and all the best to you, your family, and everybody at Betting News and Home News Now.
Thank you. You too, buddy.